Hello, welcome to Michael's Musings on Music. Today I want to talk about my 5 favorite composers, or more specifically, my 5 favorite composers whose music I love to conduct. So we must start with Beethoven. Beethoven's symphonies are absolute masterpieces, but so are his overtures, his piano concertos, his violin concerto. There's something extremely visceral about conducting Beethoven's music. Now, his music is the linchpin between the classical era of the 1700s and the romantic era of the 1800s. So his music is very much about form and about balance and about architecture. But of course, it also has this white-hot emotional component and this intense rhythmic component as well. His music is a great challenge to conduct because you have to balance both of these elements, the clean classical form and the romantic emotional elements, both of which combined make the music of Beethoven the music of Beethoven. This is very important music, of course, and speaks to us just as clearly today as it did 200 years ago. Next we have Mahler. Mahler's symphonies are massive in size, in length, and in emotional content. So what conductor would not want to live through this incredible musical journey with 100 musicians? Mahler said that his symphonies should be like the world. It should contain everything. So his music ranges from the extremely tender to the completely sardonic and everything in between. My very fondest musical memory is conducting Mahler's Second Symphony, which has not only a full large orchestra, but also a chorus and vocal soloists. By the end, you really feel like you've been in touch with something beyond just the notes. The trick to conducting, I think, this great composer's works is to be completely taken over by it, but still have a strong view of the whole picture, which in a symphony that's usually over an hour is a very difficult task. You need to take care of the micro and the macro to give these humongous works a sense of direction and a sense of clarity. It takes a lot of study, of course, to conduct a Mahler symphony, and it takes time to digest everything. You know, the first time I ever heard Mahler's Second Symphony, I didn't know what to make of it. I didn't know how I felt about it. It was very overbearing, very long, and very hard to understand. But with time, Mahler's music becomes really the most transcendental music that you'll ever hear. Next we have Tchaikovsky. His symphonies, his ballet suites, his concertos. There's a lot of music of Tchaikovsky that's in the standard repertoire for orchestra. So many conductors, including myself, have conducted a lot of Tchaikovsky. This is heart-on-sleeve music. This is music that's all about soaring melodies and drama and extremes. To me, what I think about in preparing to conduct the music of Tchaikovsky is to give full breadth to this, while at the same time not turning the music into something dripping with sentimentality or overblown. All you have to be is true to what he wrote, so without over-gilding the lily, because it's already there in the music. And if you just let the music play of its own accord, all the emotions come out. I've conducted his symphonies and his concertos many times, and I'm fortunate enough every year to conduct his fantastic Christmas ballet, The Nutcracker. Like Mahler, with Tchaikovsky, as you conduct, you feel like you're on this intense musical journey with the music of Tchaikovsky. I now want to mention Shostakovich, another very favorite of mine to conduct. Shostakovich lived during the Soviet era of the 20th century, and his music is a thinly veiled commentary on the horrors of the Soviet Union. His music often can have a biting sarcasm to it and really a straight-out anger to it. And even when the music sometimes sounds happy, it often is not. This is music that has a double speak. It has to appease the authorities on one hand, and yet speaks directly and emotionally to his fellow citizens at the time on the other hand. This is one of the wonderful challenges about the music of Tchaikovsky, of Shostakovich, is to bring out this dichotomy. You need to imbue somehow his happy music with a certain tragedy, which is not hard to do. I remember a story when I was a young student. A conductor came to our school to conduct his Fifth Symphony. And his Fifth Symphony has this apparent happy ending. But if you know anything about the piece, you know that it really isn't. The trick is, how do you get an audience member, that's hearing this upbeat music to feel a certain tragedy? And so this conductor said, this is our goal. And when it really works when the audience is silent after the last note. I mean, usually when the piece ends, any piece ends happily, everyone's clapping right away. And he did it. I don't know how he did it, how he got the orchestra to play this certain way, but when this apparently happy music was over, there was not a sound in the audience for 10 seconds before they started to clap. So this is a very challenge, but a wonderful challenge. And what I love about Tchaikovsky, about Shostakovich performing his music, is that it gives you an admittedly small glimpse into the violent world that he lived in. Finally, I need to mention Mozart, and so much great music. His masses, his concertos, his divertimenti, his symphonies, his opera overtures. I have to admit, the older I get, the more I really enjoy the music of Mozart. His music is so simple. And when you're young, sometimes you don't really appreciate the beauty of the simplicity of it. It's here's one of my favorite sayings about Mozart. It's too hard for children and too easy for adults. Everything needs to be played beautifully and meticulously. There's nowhere to hide in this music. And so every phrase, every note demands your utmost attention. But when you can achieve this, his music transports you to another world, a perfect world of form that rises above this world. It's like this music exists in another plane. So as a conductor, when I conduct the great music of Mozart, I'm really concerned with clarity and intonation and phrasing and balance, more than almost any other composer, in order to bring out the elements that makes this music so perfect. It's deceptively simple, but arguably some of the most beautiful music you'll ever hear. Next time, in my 5 faves, I want to talk about my 5 favorite orchestras.